his channel. This morning I'm going to put up a conversation between the parents who lost Armin Ra and another father that talks about the legalized kidnapping of children with the CPS. So Donisha Prendergast, who is not Bob Marley's granddaughter, is talking to the fathers. I'm just going to put it up. I'm not going to talk over it, and then I'm going to end it when it's finished. Okay, so let's watch and hear the interaction. All right.
Alexa, play Bob Marley.
So yeah, I'm letting the music go past because she plays Bob Marley in the beginning before she talks to them. They won't let me forward it.
With our Bring Ra Home campaign. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there, all over the world, celebrating right now. But there are certain ones who are not able to because of the state. You don't know. Last. Technology, which is able to share messages instantly. Once upon a time, there were people like Marcus Garvey who used their platform to say something for Black people within his time, and still we are here over 100 years later reiterating the same message. I'm going to open the floor very shortly to speak to Tyron. If you've been following our social media recently, you will see that we have been trying to raise awareness about a situation that is happening that doesn't often get very many eyes. The legalized kidnapping of Black and brown babies across the United States. If you are a parent, this conversation is for you. Until I came across this situation, I didn't know that I didn't know my rights when taking my child to the hospital. We'll open the floor later on for people to join, but right now, it's about the fathers. Thank you for taking your time this morning to be a part of this reasoning. I want to introduce Tyron and Saisha, who are ready to speak out loud. Hi, sis. Morning, Ty. Hey, Ty. All right, so we're going to move straight into the conversation. First of all, happy Father's Day.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're still celebrating you. We're celebrating you and everything that you are. I know these moments are tough, but there's a community all over the world who want to find a way to support and to say something. And that's what these moments are about. Yeah, bro, we have been talking for weeks now, so we are on the same page. And the reason why we created this live is because Tyron wanted to say something. He's been wanting to speak out, but in speaking out, it also means to create a platform for his Empress Aisha to say something. And now it's time to hear from you, Ty. Tell us a little bit about the situation from your perspective. What went down, and why is Amen-Ra not home with you today?
All right, before I say anything, much appreciation and gratitude to you and everybody that's been on our side and supporting truth. Our situation with Amen-Ra being unjustly taken from us, the perspective as a father and as a man is that in this society, in this system that we live in worldwide, this system has basically replaced our position and role as men and as fathers in homes. Because even though that we've been instilled that we, as men, we have to work and provide, but it's really, we need to protect. And so when the man steps in to protect his woman and his children, you can be criminalized for doing and for trying your best and playing your role in protecting. So in our situation with Amen-Ra, my wife Saisha basically took him to the hospital for one simple little thing, which is getting him more fluids while he transitioned from the extended breastfeeding to consuming more fluids on his own. And instead of the institution serving us, we were judged and criminalized and held there longer than needed to be. And then when we started to ask questions on why we're being held there, we have the ladder from doctors, case workers, artists, every party involved. They will lie and do anything they can to keep their jobs afloat, to take children into the system. So from a father's standpoint, when our son was in the hospital, I'm taking care of my 3 other children and also taking care of 5 other foster care children in a group home. So I'm calling the hospital every single day, asking questions, talking to doctors, talking to nurses, saying, what's going on? Why is my son still being held there? And they would just make up scenarios like, we want to keep him for observation. We want him to gain X amount of grams of weight. We want to, whatever reason that they come up with to be able to keep him there longer, they came up with it. So when I finally came down there to say and exercise my right as a parent, like I need to talk to one of y'all face to face and get a clear-cut explanation on why my son is still here. Nobody came to talk to me. And since nobody came to talk to me, I said, well, since nobody can come and talk to me at the hospital, I'm going to request and demand that my son be discharged and I take him somewhere else for a second medical opinion. And instead of them doing that, Child Protection Service officers showed up, police showed up to take our son from our care because I'm exercising the rights that was created in this so-called country. You know, and as parents, we have the right, it's our 14th Amendment right, for us to parent our children the way that we want to if we're not breaking any laws. So every single day in this country called America, parents' constitutional rights are being violated so people can maintain their jobs. And we got human beings walking around and their career and their job holds more value than them being human. So we have people doing unethical and immoral things in order to sustain their job. And our son has been taken away from us, all for the simple fact of people trying to maintain their budget and keep their jobs, because our child was taken away from us on the basis of them saying that our child needed a B12 intramuscular shot that was an emergency. And if anybody knows how anatomy works, if our child needed a B12 shot as an emergency, he would have needed that the day he got in the hospital, not 2 weeks later. So our case is very simple and it's common sense, but the fact that common sense don't mean nothing no more. And even when you operate in this system, following statutes, laws, policies, procedures, the people that are supposed to be upholding these laws, statutes, policies, procedures don't follow them at all. So we go into court proceedings where just on my older three children, I was threatened last week that if I don't do X, Y, and Z when it pertains to my other 3 children, they're going to take them into the foster system. So what do I look like as a man that has worked in the foster care system and being trusted with foster kids? I'm being forced as a man to do unethical things like taking my children to see geneticists or getting a psych evaluation on an 8-year-old child. These are things that have nothing to do with the care and safety of our children. The courts are here as the last line of defense if there is something wrong with the household or parents need assistance. So all the system has done when it pertains to my family, they ain't helped us with a goddamn thing. They've done their best to destroy my family. So I'm grateful for the support and love that we have received from the people, but systematically, we have not received any support or any help. It's only been judgment or comply. And the thing is, what does compliance have to do with safety and health? Because everybody has their opinion to a lot of different things, but when it pertains to our son, we're well fit and well competent to know what's best for our children. So when we have a system put in place where judge, case management team, child protection investigators, all these different people that have this one size fit all and say, if you don't do something this way, you're wrong, that's not serving the people, because you have different cultures. You have just different ways of living that nobody's wrong. You know, you can't come from Nigeria and then go to Switzerland and then everybody looking at each other saying you're living the wrong way. No, people have culture. You got to respect everybody's culture. So in America, the only culture I see is money. I don't see no transparency in, oh, look at them over there. They got free form locks. That's how they live over there. Oh, look at them over there. They like to do this on Sundays. And this group of people, the Amish, do this over here. Everybody respecting each other's differences. And as long as everybody ain't nobody hurting nobody and breaking no laws, I don't see how hard it is to be respectful of everybody's differences. I see animals. I'm to the point now where I see animals out here respecting each other more than humans do. That's all I'm saying. Well, you can see in the same tree a bird's nest, a squirrel, and all these different creatures harmonizing with each other out of one big tree. And then you got one group of people trying to dominate all other groups of people, and it doesn't benefit anybody. And it's only harming our children, because we've been away from our son for 100 days, and there is no legitimate, logical, or educated explanation on why. And I'll leave you with this from my perspective as a father. Even the day at the hospital, when they were kicking us out of the hospital, when I was asking to get our son released to take somewhere else for a second opinion because nobody would talk to me, anybody in their right mind, you want to protect your young. Would I have been wrong if I would have just said, basically forget what y'all saying and go in there and take my child, and they would have killed me for doing what was right? Think about that. For me to go in to actually do and protect my child organically, would I have been wrong for that? just for the people that's tuned in to really listen to that. And then in the moment when I'm talking to the officers and the child protection investigator about how many procedures that they're breaking, like not being properly notified, not having any documentation, all these different things where you're standing in their face and their only words is, I don't have to do anything. So we have nobody watching these caseworkers. There's nobody watching these lawyers, these judges. There's nobody overseeing people that have the ability to take people's children. And I'm gonna say this to everybody that's been supporting us. If anybody's asking us questions about complying, my family ain't complying to shit because we ain't done shit. It's very simple, where there are people out here and families out here that really need help. And these establishments or institutions are there to help people when needed. Their job is not to go and look for problems. And I've seen from an outside-in perspective, well, as a father, I'm spending up to 120, 140 hours every 2 weeks in a group home with foster children, along with taking care of my own children. And somebody is coming to take our own son away, and our whole life is committed to service and helping children. And then they fabricate information and lie on documents to create whatever scenario, and judges basically just sign off whenever what is submitted to them. And then when you come to, there's so many procedures on how this thing works. When you go into a court hearing, you don't get respect as a parent. You have to have legal representation. So this everything that we are taught as kids about how the world works, and being righteous and making good decisions and all these different things, it goes out the window once you step into the real world, because it's up to that judge, up to the CPI officer, or up to attorneys to actually be moral. That's up to the individual. So if individuals choose to have a position of authority and they're not operating on morals, that affects the livelihood of our babies. And that's what it comes down to. And the more that I press and ask questions as a father, they would classify me as angry or obsessive. Yeah. Like I'm supposed to sit back as a man and trust strangers with my own child. And I'm sitting here watching strangers making decisions about my child that don't make any common sense. So if Saisha and myself weren't well educated on anatomy and health, there could have been things done to our child that would have harmed him. They wanted to put a G-tube inside of our child to force him to eat food, and it was nothing wrong with him. So if we didn't have knowledge about our own anatomy and our own child, they could have done more things to harm my child, and that basically would have, the hospital would just basically got more money, because the more procedures or medications or whatever they can get on people, the more money they get paid. So that's another conversation. But my experience as a father with our son being taken, this system put in place has taken away fathers the ability to do what we do naturally, which is not just to provide, but to protect. And if we try our best to protect, they'll throw us in a cell and call us crazy for doing too much. That's just what I see. And they have the ladder of the whole thing of even child support. It costs money nowadays just to have a child. And if you don't pay money, then you're not seen as a good father, versus guiding your children in education and knowledge and being moral. Everything is looking at is money. I have custody of my 3 older children, and they still have me on child support. So y'all understand how this game goes. This system don't care about us. It don't care about our children. It don't care about families. The only people that care about us is us. That's all I'm saying. And I've been sitting back like kind of quietly to just observe and see how they handle themselves. And the fact that they took our child because of B12 shot, gave him the B12 shot, and still have him, it ain't about the B12 no more. You know what I'm saying?
But I mean, everything that you just said a while ago, Ty, underlines that the fact that it's never been about the B12. It's about these institutions finding more ways to make money, finding more ways to suppress and oppress us as a Black people, and also investigate us, study us, try to figure us out.
Yeah.
Because they know what we know, and
Yeah.
they know even more things sometimes than we know within present day, because of how long they have been trying to figure us out. So
True.
when they saw Saisha and Amin Ra walk into that hospital, they knew that they wanted your baby.
Right.
And I mean, this is a fact. This is not a supposition. They knew that they wanted your baby, and because you are vegan, it emphasized it even more. You are in such a small niche minority that no one will notice. But that's why it's important for us to say something, to speak out loud. And because you have so much education on specifically this institution, it's important for us to note that if it can happen to Sai and Tai, it can happen to any one of us as parents out there in the world. Don't think that you are not a part of this just because it hasn't happened to you yet. Like, today for us, tomorrow for you, they always say. I want to put another question forward. When the black man is automatically seen as violent when they're standing in their power, but in the same breath, violence is used against them to take their children away, what happens to the family, you know, and what happens to the individual? Because fathers, black men, are always taught to hold back their emotions, you know, to stand and be strong. But what is the reality? What does a day look like for you, Ty?
You got to move different. You have to move different. It's like the same way that a tiger has camouflage, or certain insects can become the same color as the tree that they live in. You have to be aware of who you talking to, where you at, circumstances, all the W's, what, when, why, all these different things that you gotta be, your awareness has to be 100 times better than every single person on this planet. Because the fact of the matter is that us as a melanated black people across this planet, we have been abused, damaged, lied on. Everything under the sun when it pertains to crimes against humanity has been committed on us. So with me knowing that, I don't have the expectation for anybody to empathize for me, because I know that every other culture benefits off of my ignorance or my demise. So as I maneuver, let's say hypothetically, it's sad that it's like this. If I go somewhere with my children, and there's other cultures of people there that don't look like me, I will go and become friendly to every other person there just so they can be comfortable about my presence, just so my children can play there. Versus if I'm in my own community, amongst my own people, we automatically just embrace each other. But I know that everywhere I go, my presence is a threat. So I have to do gestures to make other people comfortable in order for anybody that's with me to be comfortable. Because just my presence, it is a threat to most people. So I may have to smile, say, hey, how you doing? What's going on? It's a nice day, ain't it? You got to go ahead and make other people comfortable, because every other group of people, I'm not talking about individuals. I'm just saying collectively, based off my life experiences, to know that my presence and men like myself, our presence is intimidating for a lot of people. I've been sitting at parts. Go ahead.
So how does a black man stand in his power? And maybe say, like, you know, you're the first person who I heard say this. How does a black man stand in his power?
When I see a black man standing in his power, I see Ty, and how he held himself, like how he conducted himself in that hospital. He was calm. He spoke he articulated himself very well. and he expressed his knowledge about the situation. And I see very clearly that in this system, they get intimidated by that and they fear that. So they do their best to control it. And that was their way of controlling the situation by coming in. Literally, once he showed up, they were showing up at the same time. They were showing up right at the same time. He was downstairs and they started coming up to my room. And then they told us we refused the B12 shot. So it's like Ty standing in his power is just him being himself. He's very intelligent and he's very well spoken. And from what I've seen when we're together, he can be very, very, very calm, and people still are intimidated by that. Very intimidated by that. And it's just his freedom and his how he's rooted in his identity that scares them. And it's unfortunate because we should be able to express ourselves freely and look how we want to look, dress how we want to dress. But unfortunately, we're judged by that, especially if we're in their institutions or in their, in their facilities. They judge us. It's like we don't really have the freedom to be ourselves, because when we are ourselves, we're being judged and criminalized, because that's what this situation is.
This if you're just joining us, we're speaking with Ty and Sai in this moment about what happened to them 100 days ago. Their baby Amin-Ra was legally kidnapped by CPS under the guise of false accusations that they denied him a B12 shot, when they never denied him a B12 shot. It was never an urgent situation. This is a prime example of the system oppressing our people, systematic racism that is happening, that is not being spoken about. Our kids don't have camera phones to document what is happening. They don't have social media platforms with many followers to hear them say something. So we as parents, we as supporters, we as just human beings, we have to find a way to say something, and to use our platform collectively as well. So when we started the Bring Her Home campaign, one of the families that reached out to us early was Eddie Bellas. And I'm just going to create a little space right now for Eddie to share his experience as well. And we'll continue the conversation from here. So Eddie, if you will just join us right now to say something out loud. Greetings.
Yeah,
Greetings.
Greetings. Hey guys.
Yeah. Greetings, King. Greetings, Sai. Greetings, Ty, and greetings, Donisha. Thank you for giving us a moment, in time, just to share our story. Thank you.
Yeah. So if you want to tell us a little bit about your situation, Eddie, and
well,
how you came across this situation with Bring Her Home.
Okay. Well, basically, my situation, it started when we went. It's been like a year since they took my baby girl. Her name is Oshun. We went to the hospital to give birth, me and my wife. And when the baby came out, it was like literally like 5 minutes. They said that something is wrong with the baby, and they said they want to take her to the NICU section. And I was just asking them like what is going on, and they was basically in the room looking at the baby, and then I keep hearing them say that they never seen that before, or certain things. They were just studying her and studying the umbilical cord, and I'm literally saying like, yo, the placenta, I want it, and they're like, oh no, we're gonna take it for study, and I'm like, why you wanna take it? That it's ours. So from that moment, I realized something was up. So they took the baby and they took her to the NICU, and then they keep coming back in the room and saying it looks really bad. From what we've seen is we've seen situations like this, and it's like it's not looking good. And I keep asking the same question, like what is wrong with the baby, and can you edify me as to what is the problem, like what's going on? Keep asking questions. And they never give us no questions, answer our questions. All they did, they keep coming back in the room every 5 minutes and saying, oh, not looking good, it's not looking good. So there was never any adequate information, you know what I'm saying, given to us. And one time the doctor came in and I asked the doctor, like, what is it that you'll administered to my baby in my absence? And then she said, oh, we have to give him this shot and this shot. And I said, what? I said, before I came here, I sent a paper that you all should not give my baby anything without my consent. So can you write on the paper every single thing that you give my baby in my absence? So the nurse came, she writes some certain things on some paper. And then because it was COVID, I had to leave like an hour after the baby was delivered. So I wasn't able to stay there and stand on my square. But my wife stood there and I had to leave. You know, I just keep praying, and I left. Around 3 o'clock in the nighttime, they called and they said the baby needed a blood transfusion. Now keep this in mind. A blood transfusion, you need a blood transfusion when you never give us the cause of why the baby needs a blood transfusion. It's like I tell people are sending over and over like this narrative. If you want to change the roof on my house, you gotta tell me why. Maybe it's leaking, maybe it's what is the problem? All they did on the paper that I asked them, they said the baby may need blood products, mild anemia. Anemia, for me, when I want to do my research, is an iron deficiency. Most times, and I told the doctor, these things can be administered through breast milk. You understand me? If the baby is lacking something, you give it to the mother to administer to them, or some iron, whatever you'll have, because they study us. They study if something if there's a deficiency. We know that there is plants and herbs that you can administer to the mom, and you can pass it through breastfeeding to give to the baby. And I had that same situation with my son, and when my son was born, they tried to do the same kind of Jimmy flicks on me, and I went home and I told them, what is it that my son require? And then they gave me a whole list of stuff that they're gonna administer to my son. I didn't say one word. I stayed calm. I went home and I researched, and I came back and I said, okay, you want to give my son this, you want to give my son that. Do you know that this has alcohol, and in America you have to be how much 18 or 21 years to drink alcohol? It has mercury, it has lead, it has animal products, and you want to give that to a baby? And I said nothing else. The doctor and then look at me, they asked my wife, am I a doctor? I said, no, I'm not a doctor. I went home and I researched my stuff. Why you want to administer that to a newborn? It has alcohol in America. You have to be 21 years to drink, but nothing have alcohol in it. So the same thing of me asking same questions because I just wanted to know what was going on. I keep asking questions. You don't give me no information. So 3 o'clock in the morning, they call me, say they need a blood transfusion. And they want to give my baby a blood transfusion, and they don't even want to use my blood. They want to use somebody else's blood. So my wife, she didn't consent. She was the first one that said, I don't consent. So then she called me in the morning and she told me that, and then they start calling my phone. And immediately after they start calling my phone, lawyers start calling my phone, all kind of people start ringing my phone, all kind of people. So I'm like, what is going on? They said the baby needed a blood transfusion. So I went there, I spoke to the doctors. They had me on the Zoom call because it was of COVID. I can't go in the hospital. And I'm asking them questions, what is it that baby needs and why? They still not giving it from. They just saying, oh, she needed very she needed ASAP. She needs to get a blood transfusion. And one of the doctors even told me, if I don't consent, they will find a way to go around me and to administer blood transfusion to my baby. I said I don't consent. Understand me? So for me not consenting, the next thing that happened is they called CPS. CPS step in and then they remanded our newborn baby. Now, when they remand the baby, what happens? CPS start administering on your property. Now, when I say property, people always find that's an issue. But when I say property is what's proper to my person, for my enjoyment, exclusive to all others in society. So when I say my property, that's mine. There's nobody that can administer your property without your consent, without against your rights and against your wishes. So CPS went ahead and they did that. And they gave my baby the blood transfusion. And what happened after they gave the blood transfusion? We asked them who was the one that gave the authority to do that. They said it's a doctor. When we asked the doctor said is CPS. So it's like nobody wants to hold the hot potato. They plain, nobody wants to claim to take responsibility. So we made me find that was fishy. Another thing that they did also in the hospital is they banned us from going in the hospital. So imagine I'm coming to the hospital to go and see my dog, and I cannot go there. There's cops there, and I'm calling the cops like, yo, something ain't right. I cannot enter the hospital. I just was there a few days ago. The cops came, and the cops look at the security guard. Whatever conversation they had, he said there's nothing he can do for me. So even there, I called the law to help me that was supposed to protect and serve. And they look at me in my eyes and tell me there's nothing that they can do to me. And what is it that I do? I'm banned from the hospital. Even my wife, she just gave birth, and they ban her as well. And when we tried to retrieve the medical records, it took us almost about 2 months to get the medical records. Every time we come there, they're telling us, oh, that the medical records is not yet ready, it's not yet ready, it's not yet ready, it's not ready. And we learned later down the line there was a reason for all of that, because there was a lot of stuff that wasn't making no sense. A lot of discrepancies in their reports, as far as saying that my wife had a C-section when she had a natural birth. You understand? So there was a lot of lies, you know, that the CPS the worker was able to give us some information when we had a meeting. We called out the community to come and speak on our behalf, because I'm a musician and I know a lot of people. I play for a lot of people, and we call them together, the pastors, everybody, and we demanded information. So when we asked the information, the information that they gave us, it was saying, oh, she had a C-section, and all of this lies. A lot of lies was on that. You understand me? And just to backtrack a little bit, I also asked the doctors when they was trying to do this, like, can I have a second opinion? That's why when I look at Ty and Sai's story, it's so parallel. Went through the same series of events, because I asked for a second opinion. Because I'm like, if you don't want to hear my voice, can I call some doctor friends of mine to see the situation? Like, can I take my baby to another hospital? They're like, oh no, this is the best hospital in New York City, Long Island Jewish Hospital. Yes, I'm calling your name out. Yes, I'm putting you on blast. Yes, they said, oh no, we're the best. So if we're the best, why are you treating us so inhumanely like that? We can't even ask questions. Like, for me, asking doctors questions, they want to call cops on me. And every time I come there, it's officers in my face. And people ask me, Eddie, how do I hold my composure? Honestly, in that moment, I was like on the edge where I wanted to lay down my life for my baby, because I'm like, who else gonna do that for them, but except for me? So there was moments where I felt like, yes, I have to lay down my life right here, right now, because you cannot do that even to an animal. Take an animal baby. Go and take a dog baby. Go and take the dog baby if I not bite your face for you. And why I have to stay and take that? Understand me? So with all of that being said, we went about it because they start calling my phone, the lawyers and CPS, because they call my phone one after the other. So I'm like, how the lawyers and them get my number? Oh, you have a CPS case and now they want to represent me. How you got my information? I never give you no. They give you my information. So it's like, you see how the system is tied in. Everybody works together. The CPS worker call the lawyer. Oh, there's a case on Mr. Bellis. Call his phone and try to see if you can make some money for Mr. Bellis. Well, what we did is we presented ourselves, because as a man and a woman, you have the right to present yourself in court. And when a lawyer speaks for you, they're representing you as the corporation that they branded you when you was born, the birth certificate. So when it's like represent you as the corporation. So me knowing this information, we took it on our own to just present ourselves, to go in the courts, you know, with our own paperwork. And we also seek counsel. Like we paid money to certain lawyers just to hear the spin on their side. And then we got some advice from them, but we did everything by ourselves. We was dealing with them with our own paperwork. And then one of the things that they start doing, they start taking the attention of our baby. That was the most important thing in the moment. Let's imagine you have a baby in the hospital for days, and they tell you, oh, she can come home. Oh, because she needs to drink this amount of milk, and she cannot drink no breast milk. They gotta admit all kind of craziness. So we start doing our paperwork, and then they start coming to us like, no, it's not about the baby now. They start shifting to my son, my old son Shiloh, who no problems from the time he was born. From the time he came to the hospital, he never went to see no doctor, never eat no meat, healthy. And they start saying, and they want to talk to him and see if he's okay. So I said, oh hell no, I'm not gonna do this. But my wife and her mother said, you know what? They saying that if they speak to Shiloh, it's gonna go away. So I said, you know what? If that's what they're saying, okay, well, go ahead and watch and see Shiloh, because I know there's nothing they're gonna find if Shiloh. The CPS came over. She saw my looks very well. He looks like he has no problem. He's not afraid of his mom and his dad. And right after that, she takes and she give us court papers to serve us for next court date to come there. And right after that, they start tackling Shiloh, like they want to see him again and again. I said no, because we did not give them access. They took my wife and they put her in Rikers Island for a month and a month and a. Getting so crazy. And I went into exile with my son. I stood there while my wife was in prison, devastated, don't know what to do. Every day he's asking for his mommy. You understand me? I don't know what to do, what's going on with my daughter. They took her and they put her in a building in Manhattan. And then the lady saying, and she called the phone saying, I'm transporting your daughter to the building, and the baby screaming in the background. And she said, oh, that's what baby is supposed to do, cry. You understand me? A level of also inhumanely they treat us. So they put my wife in Rikers Island for contempt of court, for not presenting my son. And then you have not only federal agents, you have marshals, and I'm a black man. If they find me, already anything can happen. So I'm literally fighting for my life, trying to protect my son. You understand me? And those people have my baby, in some, and my wife is in Rikers Island. The level of insanity that we have gone through, and it's been a year. Next week is got they took my daughter and my son. They took my son. They put my son after my wife came from Rikers Island. She called me and she told me, you know what? Let's bring the baby over to her mom for temporary placement. I said, you know what, babe, I'm gonna do that for you, just for you to come home, and we're gonna deal with it. So they place the baby with her mom, and then Nikiba came home from Rikers Island. So after that, we was dealing with them with our paperwork. We send the paperwork to the judge, to the lawyers. We give them a certain amount of time to answer to our claim and ask them what is the findings, the facts and the findings. They never give us information. So we told them that we giving them a certain amount of days, and if they don't respond, that is acquiescence. So if I tell you if you said I did wrong and you said I committed a crime, where is the injured party? If there's no injured party, give me your facts and findings as to why you want to criminalize me. And I give you a certain amount of days. She never responded. So that was acquiescence, and she sent us the return receipt. So we had it as proof. So we went to the sheriff, who is the highest office in the county, in any county, the sheriff office. We went to them with our paperwork, and we gave it to the sheriff, and we said, we want you to help us. The sheriff said, okay, 2 thumbs up. We've seen what they done to you before. Go ahead. We went to her mom's house and we took the babies. The next thing happened is we was all over New York City news, NYC, all kind of news reports saying that we kidnapped our own babies. So it went to a point where it escalated, where they find us at our home, and those people come inside of the house. It's in SWAT style. You know how you watch the movie, how they have the SWAT and they come with the whole body armor and all of that stuff, guns raised, long rifles I never seen in my life, straight aiming to my head and stuff. Like, I come in, I'm like, what's going on? And I'm like, there's babies in there, babies in here. And they have the rifle, like, Mister, get down, and get on your knees and all of that stuff. And they snatch the young the baby from my wife's hand. And my son was sleeping, and he wakes up and he's running towards us, and they grab him, and he's like, that's so it's just traumatizing for a baby. And I'm like, yo, oh my goodness. All I could see is just terror. They all over the house, all over the block. They have the whole block everywhere is security with cops, feds, all kind of police units. Everybody was there, and they took us down to the bookings, and they tortured me. They put me in a room because we refused to put our fingerprints, because we was like, if I go in a restaurant and you want to charge me for something, if I order my meal is $25, you want to charge me for a meal for $600, why would I accept those charges? I don't accept these charges. What is that? That's my babies. How can I kidnap my own babies? Ridiculous. So I said no, and I put in my fingers there. They had about 9 officers come in there and try to hold me and to put my fingers. I start screaming at, hey, you're breaking my hands, you're breaking my hands. And they trying to, then the sheriff was like, oh, no, it's not going to work like this. You're going to break his hands, so we're not going to get the fingerprints. Okay. They put me in a cold room, and they have me in like this, behind my hands behind my back, and chains in my feet. And I'm sleeping literally in a cold room with the AC turned up, and my face like this, like that, all night. Torture, I tell you. And then I stayed there 9 days. We had no food, not eating. Then they took us to a psychiatric ward. They say, oh, our mentals is oh, we have some problem in our head. When I spoke to the doctor in the psychiatric hospital, the doctor looked at me and said, listen to me, my brother, I've seen many people come inside of there, and keep fighting, because there's nothing wrong with you. Understand me? So I'm just saying that because I can go so many places, because it's been a whole year. I have so much to say. You understand me? But I'll just say this because I was reading a quote this morning, a book this morning, and it says this, and I want to leave that to anyone that's listening. It says, it is we who must take the responsibility for finding and putting to good use the truth. It is we who must claim and defend our God-given rights and our freedom from those who would take them from us. It is we who must protect ourselves, our families, and our posterity from the inevitable intrusion into our lives by those who live parasitically off our labor, skill, and talents of others. So that's why I stand today. I stand on my truth, because we haven't done anything wrong. We went in a hospital that was supposed to give us a service. When you go to school in the business class, they say the customer is always right. What about that? We went there. We paying you. You sent us a big bill for putting us through hell, defamation of character, and the whole works. And you send us a big bill. We went there just to give birth to our baby, and then we end up in a situation where now you're criminalizing us. You put my wife in prison. She just gave birth, and you have her in prison in Rikers Island among inmates, people that did real crimes. You understand me? So where is humanity in all of this? Where is the morality? Where is the sense of common sense in this? Even the judge said, oh, to my wife, oh, how can I give you your baby if you only comply? So if I bow down to you, that's the way you're gonna treat me as a human. So I am saying to the people, wake up. One of the ways I've been coping with this is by advocating. Wherever I can speak my truth, I speak it, and I speak it unapologetically, because that's the only way I feel that we can get any kind of attention, is by speaking out. Because for too long, those people have been doing that, and every time I speak out, I find another family who's hiding or don't want to come forward because they may be benefiting off of that. Because when you become a ward of the state, if you get any benefit from the state, you become a ward of the state, and then that means, and if you get the benefits, then that puts you under the jurisdiction, and there's not much you can say, because they might take your EBT card, they might take your little allowance they give you every week. Understand me? So we have to stop taking food from the oppressors, the same one that want to have our babies and take our babies from us illegally, and start speaking out. Because the time is now. If it's not now, then when Donisha, when Ty, when Sai, when?
Now.
See this fuckery? You know, and in these moments, that is the language that you have to use.
Mm-hmm.
We are calling for people with platforms to say something. Tag influencers. Share this information. Our children are being kidnapped. Families are being destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
Just say something, yo. We can't just lie down and like nothing's happening. Greetings, Empress.
Hello.
Mm-hmm.
Give thanks for standing in your truth as well.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. We appreciate this platform. We appreciate this ability just to come out and just share our story, and also just be a part of their story as well, because justice needs to be served at the end of the day. So I'm just honored.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Ty and Sai, I mean, you know, this is supposed to be Father's Day. That's a day when our Kingman are celebrated. What is the call to action? How can people support Bring Ra Home justice for Aaliyah and Shiloh?
It's very important right now for all our children to come home. It needs to be across this so-called nation they call America. It needs to be a full third-party investigation over DCF, CPS, across the whole country. It ain't just one area. You got to remember, and you can get more dialogue when you bring Jonathan in. Judges, attorneys, the whole entire CPS across the country, they have nobody watching them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nobody watching them. So a lot of what Eddie was saying is like we one and the same. You know what I mean? It's like they look at us like we insane for wanting to protect our babies. It's insane for you to just let anybody just do some shit. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That's insane. So we just living inside out and upside down collectively as people. And if anybody want to support, it's doing something about it. Like anybody that ever comes across this live, what's more important to you? Your career, your job, or who you are as a human being? And if you empathize towards any one of us, our families, or any other family going through this, just know they can knock on your door. You can go to a hospital over your child falling off a bike, and they can look at you and be like, "You did that shit," and they'll take your child. It don't take. If these motherfuckers want your child, they'll write on the report that Santa Claus has something to do with it, and the judge will sign off on it and let it ride. So the fact is, it has to be accountability from an external investigation on the entire dependency or family court process. Because all it is that, and I have to say this, because they just celebrated Juneteenth, right? We know slavery did not end. The whole identification process was started for Black people. Nobody had to present ID until Black folks started walking around free. When it pertains to the police departments were created to monitor us. That's the fact. So all these institutions were put in place for us. So even though when you look at the facts of there are babies of all races and all cultures being taken, but the way that oppressors have manipulated societies, they'll sacrifice 100 of their own just to get one of ours. Just to play the game of, oh, this is not about race. Yes, it is in the aspects of they would do anything in their power to prevent us from being self-sufficient in this so-called country. That's all it comes down to. And the thing is that us so-called Black folk, we the most lovingest people on the planet. Like, what if we would do everything that was done to us back? That is kind of what they are insecure and afraid of. But that's not in our nature to do that. We literally just want to be left the fuck alone. Let us live in peace. On this big ass planet, it's enough space for everybody that you do not need to be insecure on how we living over here and how we singing and dancing over here. We don't bother nobody. They come to us. So they have made it where something as simple as giving birth and having children be a traumatic experience. And I know that Eddie can attest to this. When it comes to supporting our women, you limit it to what you can say or do because the trauma has already been done. Mm-hmm. And if anybody want to help about it, and you got the resources, the voice, the platform, if you ain't speaking up or doing something about it, you are a part of the problem. Yes, it's not about us, it's about the children. And, yes. And if somebody, if people out here going to work every day and doing what they do regardless of their profession, and they're not living for the benefit of the next generation, you ain't human. Because all species live for the young. And it's much more I can go into, but I know it's a lot of wisdom that's coming from Jonathan. it's a lot of wisdom that comes from Jonathan, that his opinion from the inside out is something that really needs to be heard. And I know you had questions on Donisha.
Yeah, just before I introduce Jonathan, please take a moment when this live is through, go and sign the petitions for both campaigns that are running right now. Bring Ra home, as well as justice for Aaliyah and Shiloh. Jonathan Green, human rights activist, lawyer, phenomenal human being. Tell us a little bit about you, because from what Ty has explained to me, you've studied law, not to become a lawyer, but to become informed on what it is that the system is perpetrating against our people. And right now, you are moving to further those studies in accordance with uplifting social justice from the grassroots up. So if you can go into a little bit about the infrastructure of CPS, which I know you have worked for, and particularly these two situations, like, what do you think the way forward is?
So it's ironic that this weekend in the United States, we did celebrate Juneteenth this weekend, because a lot of people don't realize within the 13th Amendment, there's an exception. And the 13th Amendment is the law that abolished slavery, so to speak. So it says, the 13th Amendment says slavery is abolished except as punishment for crime. That exception is key into keeping Black people oppressed and all people oppressed, but in particularly Black people, because the law has always been used in a way to keep us down. It was law that when we were enslaved, we could not read and write. So we weren't able to change those laws. And now that we are able to read and write, they still use the law and words against us. So we have to realize that with that exception, Ty is right. There is a 13th Amendment protection through Equal Protection Clause that applies to each state, where each parent has a right to decide medical treatment for themselves and for their children. But if the state or someone professional, such as a doctor, deems a child needing some medical attention because they're a medical professional and they have this license, the courts will look at that heavier than a parent who does not have that credential. So when the court goes to look at that, if a doctor says a child needs a B12 shot, but there's no investigation into, is the child already receiving B12? Why would they need a shot if the child is already receiving B12 as a supplement? So a lot of times, and then even in the case of Brother Eddie, it sounds like he was asking for informed consent. And it is law that doctors must provide informed consent before they provide medical treatment. And if they don't, that's a violation of their practice. So we have to realize, just as a people, that they're coming at us at all angles. They criminalize us, our behavior. They say we're angry, violent, and they use the most brutal tactics to arrest us when it is criminal, and then when it is a civil action, because family law is in civil court. Yes. But they still criminalize you because, for instance, in Ty's case, he's a nuance. I used to work for Department of Children and Families here in Florida, and it was part of our practice. If you got a case, whether it was a substantiated case of abuse or an unsubstantiated case, you wanted to get a safety plan signed. So that way it covered the investigators behind if abuse was occurring and they left that child in the home. And if they were to leave that home, by having that safety plan in place, it says, hey, I violated the terms of this contract, the safety plan, and now I'm subject to your liability. So, and like Brother Eddie said, that it is down to your social security number, because your social security number in the law is your corporation number with the U.S. government. Each of us are corporation entities that they have certain investment bonds on our lives. So if they're able to control how people move, that the system is working how it's intended to work. But you have a case where, such as Brother Todd and with Amun Ra, where the parents didn't refuse to be 12. It just, there wasn't enough investigation, informed consent done to come to that conclusion, in my opinion. But that's kind of where that is in my head.
You know what I'm seeing is like we all have in common, Eddie, is that when you ask questions, which is very normal, and we should be asking questions as parents, it's seen as a threat, or like we're attacking them, or we're you know, like, and this is a normal thing that parents do when it comes to the well-being of their child, whether you're in a hospital, whether you're with a holistic doctor, it doesn't matter what care you're getting. Is a very normal thing as a parent that is a loving and nurturing and caring person to ask about the well-being of their child, to ask about ingredients. You know, we care about what's being put inside of our child's body, or what they're being injected with.
Alexa, play Bob Marley, War.
Here's volume up, Alexa. Alexa.
So there we have it. That's two fathers. There's probably more fathers out there. The legalizing of the kidnapping, the reasonings they give him to come and take the children. Yeah, the legalizing of the kidnapping of children, and you heard the experiences of another father. I will say Ty did carry himself very well, very well. You know, his wife was tearing up and he held it down. And also the other father, that he went and he looked into what was in the stuff, what they was trying to do to the child after the mother gave birth. And he knew that breastfeeding would have sorted out whatever was wrong with the baby. And the fact that they took away the baby so fast, even that is dramatic to the mother as well as the father, but the mother as well more. And right at the bottom, what I'm going to put in the description is I put down one petition already. That one's for Amun Ra. And there's another petition for justice for Aaliyah and Shiloh. And I'm sure there is many others. And like they said, it can happen to anybody. It can happen to anybody in any part of the world. There is no boundaries to this. And I like that Donisha's taking it up. And I know she will push it out to the wider community, particularly. And this is what needs to happen with everything, you know. When a certain person, celebrity, be it that, picks up on these things and it gets pushed out, that incurs changes or it starts a domino effect. Now, the reason why I put this on the platform, because when I saw Ty's wife tearing up the way she was as well, because the cries of a baby, even, you know, it's enough to move anybody, you know what I mean? Anybody, woman or man. And like, whether your children's big, little, whatever, people have grandchildren and nieces, nephews, whatever, you name it. You have to really think about these things, you know. And like I said, the I can't get my words out. There is the things to sign under each video. So please take time and go to the change.org or what I put on the bottom of the video, because each time you sign, the more signatures go on there, the more changes can be done. As you saw in a previous video, Ty and Salisha, I think her name is, got the baby back. You know, so in numbers, a lot can happen, and YouTube goes across the world. So with platforms like this, you can make changes. Not only can you give information, you can make changes. It's not right, and I'm not putting down anybody who's doing on major stuff, but you have to make changes on these platforms, putting out the stuff that is going on, because this is about everybody. It's not about one set of people going through this, or it's not going to happen to me. No, you can't think like that, right? And on top of it, what I like is that when she explained that because of Ty's lifestyle, they probably looked at that as different because they're vegan or whatever reasons they want to come with now. And the way he carried himself, because I think Ty looks like a 6-foot black man. He's very tall. Plus, he's got his locks. He's got his locks on his head. He looks like a lion, really, when you look at him, really. But so when they see men like him moving in certain ways, who is very intelligent, it's a scary thing, you know, for them. But because he knows his rights, he's been through certain systems, he knows the system, like, so he was able to maneuver himself, plus comfort his wife through this. You know, he was literally the protector of his family. And the fact that they came up with such a poor excuse to take the child, you know, some vitamin deficiency or something, well, especially with the other guy, the iron deficiency. That's a poor excuse, you know. So I'm gonna put justice for Aaliyah and Shiloh at the bottom of the video, and the petition for Amen-Ra. And you notice the guy called his daughter Oshun as well. So there's reasons behind why they're taking these children. Yeah, well, but it seems like it's across the board. It's not just black alone. It seems like it's across the board. But they made a very good point. It's like it's like still a studying thing going on. So that's right. So for the subs that is on the channel, please sign the petitions. underneath the videos, right? It's very important that you do this. Any petition I put up, the cause is so strong. I put the petitions underneath the videos. I'm gonna show you Shiloh and Aaliyah that was taken from their mother, and I'm gonna show you their petition as well. And this is on Instagram, so you can go to their Instagram. I think I've already put Ty's wife Instagram, what they did for the boy, for the young, and for the son underneath the video. So follow them, sound your voices if you have to. If you've been through the system with the same situation, sound your voices, let them know, encourage them, encourage them. That's how a community works. You don't necessarily have a village is big, it's wide, and you have to sound your voices. It's important. The bigger the noise, the more things get moved, you know what I mean? So I'm gonna show you Eddie's situation as well. He hasn't got as much video as Ty did, but it looks like from what I can see on his one, let me see, because he's a musician. Eddie Bay, his name is. Eddie Bellows. Right. So he's got the picture of his children too that got taken. Let me see. Yeah, let me show you anyway. Hold on, give me a minute. Yeah, this is Eddie's children. I'm gonna show you more of the the petition, so you can go directly to where he is. I'll show you his page, and you can just go to the hashtag, press on them, and follow the links, and they will take you to it. I mean, he's even put a picture of the petition, so you can go directly to it. So he's put justice for Aaliyah and Shiloh. So as you can see, right, they all met up as well. Please sign the petitions, okay? It's not by force. Sign the petitions and try and, interact with it. Go to their Instagrams, and follow the links, and, especially those, I think, well, even though it hasn't come to, it probably has been, I reckon it's happening in the UK too. Just no one's talking about it. So, no one's talking about it. But in the US, please, okay, those, well, whether you have children or not have children, right, you should understand, innit? Like I said, niece, nephews, all of that, right? So follow the links and, sound your voice. Okay. So with that said, I'm going to come off. I just thought I'd put up that interaction with Donisha and the fathers. Yeah, because they talk about the mothers, but the fathers feel it too, The good fathers feel it too, right? So with that said, I'm going to come off. Please comment down below, sign the petitions, what else? I think that's it. Yeah. So with that said, I'm going to take myself off and have a good morning, pleasant night, whatever time zone you're in, and just sign the petitions. Basically, I'm going to keep saying it. Sign the petitions, okay? And peace. Peace, and take care. Bye.